Hello and welcome to Sovereign RPG. I am Sovereign and today we are in Infinite Lagrange. Again, I've just started up playing again and we're on a new server with all of our American friends. A few of my American friends decided they were going to start playing the game again, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to make a video to show you guys the best start you could have in this game. What you should look out for, what you should save for future, and the best ships you want to start looking out for when you do get those blueprints, where you use the XP scrolls and that sort of thing. I will be doing videos for Infinite Lagrange over the next couple of months, mostly guides for this game, so make sure to sub if you want to see more content. So when it comes to actually building your base, this account is literally less than 2 hours old. I've been messing around, playing around with this account, and a way to do that is just to go into the construction. You want to build your zones up as quickly as possible. You want to go to expand and it will show you what what requirements there are to actually build up to the next level. You want to focus on these until you're able to expand. So you want to get level 5 in your generic port 2, you want to get level 1 in small integrated plant, and level 1 in your habitat, and then you want to expand. Once that expands happening, because it takes quite a decent amount of time, you can catch up on other things that you've missed out up until that point, because there is some time that gets taken, so you don't have to worry about like leveling up all the things in a level before you expand the zone. You want to get your zones all the way up as quickly as possible by following a simple step of just expanding and only building the requirements. Make sure you're always actually accepting your quests. So you do these chapters. You can find the chapters and the quests by clicking on the exclamation mark in the top left, and you'll have to complete all these quests. They give you significant amounts of resources so you can actually continue building constantly all the time. It does go up to chapter 13 or 14 if I remember correctly from the first server. So there's quite a lot you need to do, and you can pre-do these. So what I would recommend at the beginning is to actually start attacking the level 1 and level 2 NPC rats that you'll find on the map. Now we call them rats, they're just NPC ship fleets, and you want to be finding like sort of level 1s and level 2s, and you're going to want to attack those and level up your ships, the FG-3000, your beginner ships, to level 3 or 4, and that will complete 2 sets of quests in chapter 2 and 3. And I would send one of those ships off to explore a random area at the moment. So you want to click on an area that you haven't explored. So you'll see the lighter areas and you'll see the darker areas. The darker areas you haven't explored yet. You just click on the explore. It will set up an operational area, and you just create one ship in the fleet, send them off, and they'll take some time and they'll sort of locate and explore this area, and it will open all the stuff up for you in that area. This will be for your chapter 5, which I'm currently on right now. It sometimes takes a lot. See, this gather intel is actually just completed for me. And then we claim that, we'll get a decent amount of actual, and we'll be in the Iron Age. And then you start and continue on with your quests. And make sure, just always do these 72k, 24k. There's not much in the level of crystal and deuteronium, but it will help you to grow much quicker than if you didn't do them. Make sure to do those. While I was talking about the actual running around and killing those rats I was talking about earlier, just continue doing that on your ships. If you get a decent ship, now, some of these ships you want to look out for. This is a brand new account, so I haven't got any blueprints. I've only got the FG-300. But when you're going into the research panel and you're unlocking blueprints, etc., from your actual Dawn funding scheme, you say you're claiming those and getting your black market tech files. You don't need to pay into this. You can if you want to. It doesn't cost that much. But you start grabbing these black market boxes, and there's a chance that you can get some decent ships in here. Now, the ships you want to really look out for. In the frigate section, you're probably looking out for the Ruby, you're looking out for the Xeno, the Mare Tranquillatus, especially when you get the pulse cannon one, the Eris, which you can actually buy for €1 in the actual store. But if you do get that unlocked, it's another good one to look at. It's not the best, but it's one that if you get and you don't have any of the others, it's definitely one you should work on. Now, there are definitely a lot of frigates in there. These are the frigates that I've used through the entirety of Server 1. The Ruby was the only frigate I used a lot. I used it a lot. I still used it in the end game because they do massive damage to cruisers, and everyone was running around in their cruisers. Now in destroyers, you're looking for the winged hussars. They're going to be your number 1. You definitely want to be grabbing those. You want to save up your combat microchips for them. And while you're killing the rats, your ships only XP up to level 30, and then you can only level them up by using those combat microchips. So save them until your ships are level 30 and then use them. So one really quick tip there that you can use to actually grow your ships past a certain point. The cruisers, you can literally just use the Cass. The Cass is an absolutely insane ship, and everyone gets one. So that's one of your priorities to level up. Another one will be your Callistos. They do massive damage with torpedoes on some of the bigger ships in the later game. The Chimera is a very tanky ship, although it's not very tanky against your energy ships. The energy ship you want to look out for is the IO, just an IO, I and a O. It's a pretty decent ship. There are 3 other destroyers that are pretty damn good. You've got the Taurus and you've got the Guardian, and you have, and I can't remember the third destroyer that actually uses to heal your ships in combat and outside of combat. Let me know down below the one that I missed. One of them's the Guardian, and I can't remember the other one. Yeah, it's gone out of my head. I'm gonna have to go onto the other account and find that. But there are 2 ships that actually heal your ships during combat and outside of combat. And look down in the comments, someone's gonna answer it. They always do. I never really used any other cruisers other than the Chimera Cass and the Callisto. They were my bread and butter fleets. In the battle cruisers, there are ships like the Spear of Uranus that do massive damage. They were nerfed quite significantly recently. Now you've got the Eternal Storm as well that you can build into, but it does have a lot of overkills. It does waste a lot of damage because it will hit some of the stuff at the front line first, and you'll be doing massive amounts of damage when you don't need to, so it's not really that great. The Spear of Uranus is definitely better. The SD-59 is not very good itself. Hopefully you guys get the Spear of Uranus and you want to actually just level up that ship as high as possible. It's a very, very, very good ship. Now in the carries, don't have to worry about them at the beginning too much. The CV3000, you'll have multiple different options for that. You do have the solar whale, but I never really liked the solar whale personally. The CV3000 is definitely good when you get the option to run both fighters and corvettes. But personally, I don't like the corvettes or fighters. They never really lived up to what they should have been, especially during the actual life of Server 1. Now you want to be leveling your miners as high as possible. Now the best way to actually get as much resources as possible is to actually build the AC-721s, the generic ones, the generic logistics destroyers. And you want to pair one of those up per miner, and it will actually allow you to gather way more resources and bring more resources back. And over time you will actually gain more resources up in the top here, where it gives you like the +6287. It's definitely worth grabbing and making. When you create a fleet, grab an AC-721 and grab a miner. You can use that all the way up to your large miners. You don't need it so much on the large miners because they do have a massive cargo capacity, but that's much later in the game. So just a really, really quick recap. You want to go in, you want to build your zones. Once you build your zones, and you set them to build after you do the requirements, then you can build up what you missed in the previous zone. You definitely want to go for the Xeno Stingers if you do get them. The Reliat's okay. I never personally liked it. The Ruby's fantastic. The Cass is amazing. Cruiser, your destroyers, you got your Tundra, you've got your Guardian and your Winged Hussars. In the cruisers, you've got your Cass, you've got your Callistos, your Chimeras are decent if you do get one of those, and your Ios. For your battle cruisers, you just want to be getting a Spear of Uranus. If you don't have a Spear of Uranus or an Eternal Storm, then don't bother building them. There's literally no point. You can make some SD-59s. You can put them in the front row as tanks, but they do just get melted and they cost a lot of resources, especially if someone's using Callistos, etc. against you. They'll just get absolutely obliterated. So I don't see a point in using battle cruisers unless you have a Spear of Uranus. The carriers, the CV3000, don't bother with a solar whale. Only use the CV3000 if you've got an abundance of materials and you don't need to use it, and you can just build them as for whatever reason you want to build them. I don't personally use them. We use cruisers all the way up until the end game, killing all cities, all levels of cities, and progressing all the way through the game with just cruisers. Right, so that's all we have for today. I hope this was able to help you. Remember to like and sub if you haven't already. This is your one-stop shop for mobile content. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams. I want to say a huge thank you to all my patrons. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to continue doing what I'm doing. If you'd like to find out how to become a patron and how to get early access to my content, please look down in the description. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams.